Hello people of YouTube, it's Deepak here, and welcome to DCS World 2.9.1 and Heat Blur Simulation's AJS37 Viggen module. Welcome to Tutorial 6, Rockets. Today we're going to take a little look at the M/70B ARAK rockets, which are the standard rockets that can be carried by the Viggen. They come in both high explosive and armor-piercing variants. You can carry up to 4 of these pods. I'm actually demonstrating the maximum possible loadout here, and each pod contains 6 rockets. There are 3 different ways of employing these rockets. You can actually have a planned attack, a quick attack, or a long-range attack. And these different methods give you different ways of employing the weapon, with varying degrees of accuracy and different maximum engagement ranges. The main differences being that the planned attack mode uses your radar for ranging, giving you a greater degree of accuracy. The quick attack mode actually allows you to very quickly make use of the rockets without first switching to attack mode. And in the long range attack mode allows you to make use of the rockets out to as much as 7 kilometers away from the target. However, it uses triangulation as opposed to radar ranging, and so is a bit less accurate. And of course you're also further away, so the spread is going to be greater as well. The modes that don't use the radar, they're very much like ARBS in the Harrier, in so much as they basically calculate the slant range to the target using your altitude and your current pitch angle. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the cockpit and begin our setup. And now, one thing you can do from the cockpit quickly is if you switch the computer into tactical mode, you can see which pylons currently have weapons on them. It will display the information left to right for pylons 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't show you pylon 4, the centerline pylon, but that's only carrying an X-tank anyway, so that's not really something you need to worry about. Ones indicate weapons being present, dashes would indicate a faulty weapon, and 0 would indicate an empty pylon. So you can kind of verify exactly what's going on using this. Oh yeah, just to confirm, the pods can be carried on pylons 2, 3, 5, and 6. On the outer pylons today, I'm carrying Sidewinders, can't actually see my wings from here, and on the center line, I'm carrying an X-tank. So, I've got a target at waypoint 3, B3. We're going to do a little bit of setup here. I'm going to set it as a target waypoint by entering 9 in tactical mode and selecting B3. I'm also going to designate a pop-up point for us today, so that's 074 degrees, 25 kilometers to B3. That's now programmed in as well, and there's nothing else that I need to do setup-wise for a planned attack, and that's what we're going to demonstrate first. So with the computer back in actual position mode, I'm going to select B3. That will actually take us to pop-up point number 3. Next thing we want to do is pre-program our weapons. Move the camera a bit here so we can get a better view of the controls. We have on the left-hand side here the knob for weapon selector. We need to right-click on this to turn it all the way around to attack. Attack mode is the standard weapon selector position for rockets. We then also have the weapon release mode switch here. We can have impulse or series for rockets. Series will launch all the rockets all in one go, and impulse will launch, I think it's going to be 1 from each pod. We're going to leave it in series. That's the standard way to make use of these rockets. You just fire them all in one go. And so with that done, I can center up my camera again. I'm also going to make sure that my HUD is not in slaved mode and the altitude is set to barometric. We then need to confirm that our primary altimeter is set to the correct QFE. In this case 1013. It in fact is already set, but if it wasn't, we could use this little dial here to set the QFE correctly. This is important in the modes that are using triangulation. It of course doesn't matter in the modes where you're using the radar. So let's get started. We're going to approach the target. I'm just going to adjust my camera a little actually, so we can see the tip of the stick as I'm going around. Important thing to note in the Viggen is that unlike most Western aircraft, it doesn't have a master arm. We instead have a trigger safety. You'll see it on the top of the stick here. I've flipped it up, and then I've flipped it back down again. This is not only our master arm, but it also indicates to the computer that we intend to do a weapons release. So it has a little micro switch in it. It blocks the use of the trigger while it's down in the safe position, which is where it is right now. We're currently safe. But also when we flip it up, not only does it allow us to pull the trigger, it also sets the computer up for weapons release, so it tends to change the HUD symbology and such like. So, in any case, I'm going to fly towards the pop-up point just now, and then I'll do a little bit of a climb towards the target, not much. We're going to want to dive towards the target at more than 3 degrees down, so we probably want some altitude. I'm making sure to be above 2,000 meters for this kind of attack. And you'll also note that the central indicator is currently showing us the direction towards the target, and the distance is also reading distance towards the target. However, the HUD is giving us guidance towards the pop-up point, as is the ADI. I'm going to go radar on, which is A1 position on the radar controller, and I'm going to bump the range down to 15 kilometers. That's going to give us some additional symbology that we can make use of here, and I'm going to adjust my gain just a bit, get a better picture there. This is actually just for situational awareness. It doesn't do anything with regards to attacking the target. Okay, I'm at the pop-up point now. I'm going to press B3, switch to the target itself. I'm going to go Zone 1 Afterburner, and I'm going to accelerate a little bit, and I'm going to climb. We're now going to set Master Mode to ANF, which is Attack Mode. There, that's done. In ANF mode, we get a circle over the target location. I'm going to continue inbound just now until we're a bit closer. And we also get some symbology which is actually stuck at the top of the HUD. Actually, let me pause for one moment. We've got some symbology which is actually stuck to the top of the HUD until we begin our descent towards the target. Now, there's a central line and there are 2 outer lines. The 2 outer lines indicate maximum range for engaging the target. There will be a line which will appear underneath these, which will start off very wide. It will start to narrow, and we'll get a bunch of indications as to when it's time to release. That line will flash 2 seconds before we're in range. Wings will appear on our aiming dot 0.5 of a second before we're in range, and then we will pull the trigger. The altitude, the barometric altitude, which is normally on the left, will switch to the right-hand side while we're firing, and it'll return to the left again. And then we will see lines, vertical lines, either side of the HUD flashing if we actually stray too low. That's the system warning us that we're in danger of entering the frag pattern. So, just a quick review. I've passed my pop-up point. I'm climbing. I've switched the system to ANF. Let me just actually zoom down on that here. You can see I was in nav mode before. I've now switched to ANF, which is the attack master mode. For a planned attack, you must be in this mode. You'll note that once I went to ANF, my radar display blanked, even though I'm in A1 mode. This is because the radar is now being used for radar ranging, and so can no longer do mapping. It's firing a fixed beam forwards towards the ground. Okay, so I'm going to wait until I'm about 10 kilometers out. I'm just going to fly towards the target, and then I will nose down, and then the symbology will shift. You'll see that in just a moment. So approaching 10 kilometers, I'm nosing over. I'm looking for the circle. I'm going to throttle back, actually. I want to put my aiming dot in the circle, and then once I'm happy, I'm going to flip up the safety. Okay, the circle now disappears, so at this point I have to have actually acquired the target. Pause. You'll note that we now have a fin in the middle of the HUD. This fin indicates that radar ranging is now working. So once the angle is sufficient and the radar is getting returns, this fin is present. That lets us know that the system now has accurate slant range to the target. And actually my target today, just so that you can all see what it is I'm aiming at, is this formation of vehicles here. So I want to place my aiming dot on this and hold it as I descend towards the target. Let's zoom out again. And just note here, my trigger safety is now up. The system is now armed. So continuing inbound, let's see what we get next. Keep the dot on the target. Pause again. We now have range to the target. It's now shrinking. As I said, it will flash 2 seconds before we're in range. We'll get wings on our little dot half a second before we're in range, and then we will pull and hold the weapon trigger until all of our weapons release. While weapons are releasing, the altitude, which is currently on the left, will be on the right, and then we're looking for dashed flashing lines either side of the HUD to let us know that it's time to pull up. Let's continue. Coming into range. In range. Pulling trigger. Weapons are away. We've got the pull-up queue, and off we come. We can now go safety trigger back in. We can return the system to nav mode, and we'll now manually select the next waypoint. Sometimes it actually switches for you, and we're going to egress the target area towards the next waypoint. And that should ensure that we don't suffer any frag damage, and also the enemy doesn't have an opportunity to return fire. I'm now Zone 3 Afterburner flying away, and I can now follow my normal nav symbology towards my next waypoint. Job done. That was very, very quick and easy. Next, I'll show you a quick track view of what that looked like from the outside, and then we'll demonstrate quick attack. Okay, so you rejoin me, I've reset the simulation, and I'm ready to demonstrate quick attack. This is a mode used for targets of opportunity. You don't have to have any pre-planned target position, and the setup is very quick and very easy. The only thing to note is that in this mode we are not using radar ranging, we're using triangulation, and so the local QFE must be set as accurately as possible. So, only bit of setup we need to do is make sure that the weapon selector is in the correct position. Attack is the correct position for the use of the ARAK rockets. And then over here on the altimeter, I need to make sure that QFE for where I am is set. I'm in the region of waypoint 2, and I know that in the region of waypoint 2, QFE is 1012. Quick attacks are just done from nav master mode. We don't need to be in the attack master mode at all. And the radar can be on or off, it doesn't make any difference. The system is not going to use the radar to actually range the target. The only thing that we need to do to make triangulation work correctly is that we need to be pitched down more than 5 degrees. So, coming out of active pause, I'm just going to fly where I want to fly. I'm going to choose a target over here on the coastline, and I'm going to wait until I'm a little bit closer in. Just accelerate a touch. Aircraft nicely trimmed out. And what's going to happen is we're going to remain within nav master mode, and it's when we flip up the trigger safety that the attack symbology will appear on the HUD. And we can do that before we're 5 degrees nose down, but you need to be aware that... actually, I'll do it now. I flip the trigger safety, note all my symbology is pegged to the top of the screen. So that's our warning that nothing is working right. We need to nose down quite a lot. And now we've got our aiming dot. Let me just pause here again. This symbology is almost exactly the same as what we had in the attack master mode. We have the aiming dot, we have our current altitude, and we have the range symbology down here. What we're watching out for is we're watching out for wings on the dot. Once we have wings, that's our indication that triangulation is operating normally. We'll then also get a range indication. So let's continue coming down. Also note the lack of the radar ranging fin. That's our indication that we are not using the radar here. I'm just going to aim at these trees just for fun. There we go. Its range is coming down. I still don't have the wings yet. I'm waiting for the wings. Range is flashing. I have wings. I now fire, and I get my pull-up cue, and we're off. So, as you can see, very quick and easy, and I flip the trigger safety back down, and I'm back in normal navigational symbology. So, that was all very quick and very easy. Oh, there we go, we've killed some trees. And so yeah, just to remind you, you need to have the weapon selector in attack for the rockets, you need to have your QFE set, you need to be in nav master mode, flip your trigger safety, be more than 5 degrees nose down, and fire when you're in parameters. Nice and simple. Okay, you rejoin me once more in the cockpit. I've reset the simulation and I will now demonstrate long-range attack mode. I've set us up in the exact same way I did for the planned attack that I did first, i.e. B3 has been set as the target, and I've created a pop-up waypoint of 074 degrees inbound for 25 kilometers to B3. We now need to disengage the radar ranging. So we can do that by switching the computer to tactical master mode, going to input, and we need to type in the code 253 and press LS. That tells the system to disable radar ranging. We can now go back to output and actual position mode, and this is the prerequisite for doing a long-range attack mode. So we're going to use triangulation only. I'm going to quickly select attack as the weapon selector, and I'm then going to make sure that QFE is set on the barometric altimeter, because that is necessary for us to do a correct attack. So if I look at waypoint 3, I can see that QFE is 1013. That is in fact already set on the altimeter, so as such we are ready to go. Apart from that, the process is basically identical to the planned attack. So we're in nav master mode right now. I'm going to select waypoint 3. Actually, I'm going to cycle it straight to M3. We're not going to bother with the pop-up in this case. And I'm going to proceed inbound towards the target. We'll use nav master mode symbology to get us to the target. And then once we're a bit closer in, we will switch to attack. We will make sure that we're at the right altitude, dive towards the target, and we will unsafe the trigger safety once we have the reticle on target. So, off we go inbound. Now, of course, normally this is not the way you would do a tactical attack. You would usually ingress low level, and at the pop-up you would then climb. But I'm going to remain high altitude just to make this a simpler way of doing it. It gives us a lot longer to see the symbology and see what would happen. When you do it realistically, low level, pop-up, attack, everything happens so quickly that it's really hard to actually see what's going on. So I'm going to continue inbound until we get to about 15 kilometers, and then I'll set myself up for the attack. Come out of afterburner. Another thing to note is that the FALD last light will illuminate once all weapons are away. If you see this light flashing, it means that you had a weapons malfunction of some description. You would then need to figure out what it was that had happened. Okay, we're coming inbound. I'm going to go attack master mode. We now have symbology, and you can see the circle there. Because we have radar ranging turned off, we actually get the radar display showing up. Just going to use that as a reference. And like I said, we'll continue inbound until we're a bit closer. I'll actually gain some altitude here while we're on in. There we are, 15 kilometers. Let's nose down. There we go. You can see that the aiming dot has dropped. I'm going to unsafe the trigger, and I'm going to keep the aiming dot on target. Note the lack of the radar ranging fin, confirming that we are not using the radar. I'm going to continue inbound here. Got my dot right on the target, and we're waiting for parameters to appear. The range will be indicated in the same way as planned mode. There it is, it's coming down. Shoot Q, I pull and hold the trigger, and we're off target. And away. I now can safe the trigger again, and we can even switch the system back to nav master mode. And on this occasion it has actually cycled to the next waypoint, so we could actually fly our ingress. And that's it, that's the long range mode. Now that can work all the way out to 7 kilometers with the right parameters. But in this case it was a bit closer. I'm going to come around so we can see the effect on target, and that was still accurate enough. We appear to have destroyed all of the vehicles, I think. You can see the rockets actually landed a little bit long there, but they did the trick nonetheless. High explosive does the job. So there you go. That was a demonstration of the long-range mode of the system. So, that's the ARAK rockets in the AJS37 Viggen. You have planned attack, which uses radar ranging and a predetermined target location. You've got quick attack mode, which uses triangulation and can be used on targets of opportunity. And you have long-range attack, which requires a predefined target location, but uses triangulation. And can, under certain circumstances, allow you to engage targets at longer ranges. So, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and comment. It's a really big help to me and to the channel. You also have the option of further supporting the channel by joining Deephack's ground crew. Thank you very much to those of you who've already done so. Your names are appearing on the screen now. There's some small benefits, such as being part of the Deephack's ground crew Discord, and occasionally we do flights together as well. So please consider doing that if you would like to. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.